will realistically show up to with the tournament in the same tournament. So anyway, here we have our players on screen. You have Phillip Lorren on your left playing Grixis Tezzeret, Edgar Flores on your right playing Cobblade. So what do you think? Who do you think is favorite in this matchup? We know what Phillip thinks.
I mean, I gotta give the edge to Edgar just because he's been here so many times before. He's played his deck ad nauseum. He's one of the best Cobblade players on the circuit.
His deck's Cobblade, not ad nauseum.
Well, all right, I got nothing. But I mean, he's played it so much. He knows how to play the deck, and I mean,
it's really shiny.
It's gorgeous.
Look at that preordained just glow under the lights.
I mean, I believe that Phillip thinks he has a good matchup. I believe that Phillip believes he's got a good matchup. I think Phillip might actually have a slightly favored matchup, but Edgar's just so good at playing his deck that tilted in his favor a little bit.
Sure,
but it should be an interesting matchup to watch.
It is sort of interesting looking at the way that the sort of dynamics that each of their decks, how they play out against one another. Phillip's deck is he says typically favored against Cobblade, and Edgar's deck is a Cobblade deck that is a bit different than the norm, and it's not clear if the different is in his favor or not. He's much more aggressive with Mirran Crusader and Blade Splicer, as opposed to cards like Jace Beleren.
Right.
Whereas I think Jace Beleren is one of the cards you actually really want against Phillip's deck.
Right. I mean, now granted, that Spellskite would have helped if Edgar has a 3-drop here, which is reasonable, but yeah, I agree. Jace is like a huge card in any kind of controlling matchup like this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, Tezzeret is one of the better cards at fighting Jace. In the Planeswalker War, Tezzeret usually comes out ahead. But Jace Beleren is a card that can give the long-term advantage to the Cobblade player for sure.
So Edgar Flores, Mana Leaks, Phillips, Everflowing Chalice, keeping him off a little bit of mana. And down comes the Sword of Feast and Famine. Edgar already has Inkmoth Nexus down, so that sword can start serving in next turn.
The synergy between Sword of Feast and Famine and Inkmoth Nexus is one that it took a lot of players longer than you'd think to find.
Yeah.
And then it suddenly became pretty much industry standard.
Yeah, I mean, the format was out for a while. It wasn't until Dallas when we started seeing Inkmoth Nexus.
And here's Tumble Magnet, which definitely helps against the equipment plan.
Now, Tumble Magnet is an interesting card. We saw a lot of that in Cobblade mirrors, but back in Dallas era, and then people moved away from it. But still does its job pretty well here of keeping a sorted guide down.
I mean, Edgar basically can't do anything with that sword anymore. He doesn't have much that actually deals with Tumble Magnet, and there's a Spellskite on his opponent's side of the table. So his sword, he can't afford to spend a turn equipping the sword to, say that Nexus and just get it tapped. I mean, he basically just taps him out and does nothing.
Right. Just time blocks him for the cost of 1 charge counter. Not nearly worth it. See what Phillip's got going on here. Taps 1. There's Brittle Effigy.
Brittle Effigy.
Phillip said that the Brittle Effigies were not that impressive, but he's playing them mainly because he needs to hit Metalcraft.
Right. Actually, when I was playing a Tezzeret deck with the Vidalcan Surtalk Tezzeret deck that I played in Singapore, there was actually a number of cards that I had in the deck were very similar in terms of wanting a Metalcraft curve to turn on Mox Opal.
Yep, that's exactly what he said. He's like, I can go turn 1, I can play this on turn 1 and it just helps turn my Mox Opal on turn 2 or 3. Alright, and down comes Gideon Jura for Edgar Flores, and that's certainly a pretty reasonable card to have. Spellskite will be forced to attack.
And being able to get rid of that Spellskite is potentially a pretty big deal. The Spellskite is keeping the Tumble Magnet around, which is keeping the sword not being used. So, keeping the sword in the sheath, if you will.
Now, if Phillip had a Tezzeret here, he could animate and attack, but doesn't look like he has it. I think it'd be in play if he had it. Plays his 6th land.
So that looks like it might be Tezzeret.
Oh,
mana. It is
Tezzeret.
Tezzeret. So, and now he's deciding what exactly to do with Tezzeret.
I think the play is probably animate.
Yeah,
animate Brittle Effigy, crunch in on Gideon. Edgar doesn't really have a way to deal with Tezzeret next turn, and just putting a clock out there is pretty strong. And he's
So
going to tech edge away Edgar's 5th land, too, making things even a little more hamstring for him.
So Edgar is down. Gideon is down to 3 counters, which means that it will die to an attack from any artifact creature next turn, even if he +2s it. Looks like Edgar has a Dismember in his hand, maybe, but that Spell Skite can redirect either the Dismember or Gideon's -2 effect because the Spell Skite itself is tapped.
I think it's likely that Edgar will go for. Well, maybe not. Yeah, Gideon Spellskite.
Did Phillip have a creeping tar pit in play? I can't really see
I don't think
through the
he
glare.
does.
If he does have a Dismember, and he can use Dismember to kill the Spellskite, and then use Gideon to kill the Brittle Effigy,
Or vice versa.
that still leaves Phillip with a Tezzeret in play. However,
Right, I mean, that Temple Magnet is going to do a really good job of protecting that Tezzeret.
I mean, it's possible. Phillip did tech edge his Ismoth Nexus, so he doesn't even have he couldn't even equip the Nexus and send both at Tezzeret to try to get rid of it. So is he?
So like he's using.
Looks like he's
Gideon.
-1ing or -2ing.
Yep, he's going to try and kill off the Brittle Effigy. I think it's likely Phillip will redirect the Spellskite.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, redirect the Spellskite,
Which kills the Spellskite.
which will off that Spellskite. And now Edgar has to choose if he wants to dismember the effigy now or do it on Phillip's turn. I like waiting until Phillip's turn. Okay, he's gonna go for Blade Splicer actually,
All right. Well, that's
protecting Gideon.
I didn't see the Blade Splicer in his hand. That's pretty good. That gives him 2 creatures that can get in the way. And if Phillip wants to tap both of them down, he's going to need to use 2 counters from a Stumble Magnet and have a Stumble Magnet tapped on his own turn.
Right, meaning he's gonna get hit by that sword. So he does not opt to do that. Looks like he's gonna tap 3 and lay. Could have Zenith. Oh, he does have a Creeping Tar Pit. Okay, so he activates the Tar Pit.
So Tar Pit will kill Gideon.
It was a little hard to tell under all this land, so yeah, Tar Pit will off Gideon. And Tezzeret will likely go +1.
Yep.
Finding Contagion Clasp.
So
That Clasp has a lot of work to do that game.
well, I mean, Clasp lets his
It can charge up the Temple Magnet more.
It looks like Edgar was thinking he got the shuffle when it was actually just putting the cards at the bottom or something. And then Clasp takes out the Splicer, and then the ability to charge up the Tezzeret is actually pretty huge.
Yeah, you can go to Ultimate or you go past the Ultimate pretty easily.
Right. I don't know what that token is, but it looks pretty shiny like the rest of Edgar's deck.
He's like, I brought this one just for you, Edgar. Actually, Phillip is quite the man for his foil cards himself, so
Yeah,
these
they
guys
both
are fighting
have-
on a higher level. When it's foil master versus foil master of their own archetype, interesting to see what happens. They both have played this archetype extensively, high-level events. It's kind of like a Clash of the Titans. Granted, you only know one of them, but... Phillip has to decide what his play is. And I think he can just sit behind this Tezzeret pretty successfully if he wants to. Now, he could animate his Clasp and just start getting in there. But I really like just setting up for a longer Tezzeret game.
Yeah, I mean, there's really very little reason for Phillip to go particularly aggressive. He has a Clasp. He has a Magnet.
Oh, he's going aggressive.
Maybe he disagrees.
He's like, 13 damage sounds pretty good to me. I'll take it. And then one of them's getting dismembered. Alright, so dismembers the Brutal Effigy. Effigy goes down. And looks like he's just passing back to Edgar after that. Okay. Oh no. into the Royal on Tumble Magnet. That'll allow that sword to get in there.
Is Tezzeret, did he kill, did he no, Tezzeret's still at 1 counter, I think. He's just right off our screen there.
Tezzeret should be on 2 counters because he +1 last turn. Is that correct?
+1,
he went -1, +1.
-1, +1, -1, so it's 2.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah, he's going to give the Golem a token, or give the Golem a sword, rather. And Phillip seems like he's thinking maybe he's got Dismember in his hand. I can't quite tell.
I don't think Phillip has Dismember in his deck, so he probably doesn't have it in his hand.
He better not have it in his hand. Alright, or at least trying to bluff it. Attack Edges, Creeping Tar Pit.
And then...
And now I guess...
Are you just saying go? Okay, kills Tezzeret.
Alright, Tezzeret down. So the board is a 5/5 Contagion Clasp versus Edgar's Sorted Golem token.
Which is also 5.
It's also a 5/5.
It's a little odd that he chose to suit that up if he was just going to attack Tezzeret. And that's a Batter Skull that's getting Spell Pierced.
Interesting. So Phillip actually had lethal, right?
Hmm? No, his Tar Pit got killed.
Oh, sorry. I thought he still had it in play. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So,
I thought he still had it in play. Maybe not.
No, his Tar Pit definitely got killed.
His Tar Pit definitely got killed. Okay. Yeah, that's right. He got Tech Edge. Yeah. So Edgar's at 3 life.
He knows his opponent has a Tumble Magnet in hand.
Do you kind of like just replaying the Tumble Magnet there?
Well, that's what I was sort of thinking. I mean, granted, it lets Edgar counter something with a Spell Pierce if you replay the Batter Skull, but I mean, if he plays Batter Skull there, and Edgar is largely obligated to counter it because the Batter Skull represents 2 lethal threats in the following turn.
Right. I mean, it also just puts the game pretty out of reach.
But if Edgar just has like a Hawk here, which
it's a Phantasmal image on the Contagion Clasp. Interesting.
That's kind of interesting.
Weird. Okay.
So it becomes a Contagion Clasp.
Correct.
Now.
It is not a creature. And he puts a counter on the Contagion Clasp, so it is a 4/4 Contagion Clasp.
That doesn't really do anything, right?
Well, it makes it smaller than the 5/5 Golem.
Right, but he knows his opponent has a magnet. Like, that doesn't actually do much.
I wonder if Edgar thinks it becomes a creature.
Yeah, I think he might.
Edgar's a relatively new player to the game, and while he's a very decent technical player, he certainly has made some mistakes just based on rules knowledge in the past. And it's also possible he just drew it and he's like, well, this is my only thing I can do. I have to make this play. Alright, catch that. Or like, I guess he could have copied the Golem token, right? So yeah. So that seems like a mistake.
So, well, he would have to chump block with the Golem anyway, which isn't really going to get him very far. But yeah, I mean, in that case, he's actually just dead anyway. So
Phillip takes the first game. He says this matchup is good. It certainly looks like it plays out in his favor. Just Tezzeret was really strong. Although, granted, Edgar had just drawn like a Squadron Hawk or something.
Right. Well, that's one of the cards that, when I was playing Tezzeret, I found was seriously problematic. Was just the actual card Squadron Hawk. When you're playing a deck that revolves around a card like Tezzeret that you need to defend in order for it to be particularly useful. Just your opponent being able to play out a Hawk, play a second Hawk, and just whittle down your Tezzeret as they kill you, it can be pretty problematic. Granted, Phillip's deck has a pair of Black Sun Zenith in his main deck, which can stop opponents who are deploying a bunch of Hawks from really blowing you out. But it's still pretty problematic.
Let's see, so looking here, I think Cancel probably comes in, Oblivion Ring. Those are the 2 main cards I think will come in for Flores. Flash Freeze, no. Ouse, I don't think so. Condemn, no. Timely Reinforcements, no. So he'll bring in Cancel and Oblivion Ring, taking out...
I don't know. I mean, most of his cards are pretty good here.
His cards are very alive. Maybe he wants to lose some of his top end.
It's possible. It's possible that Mirroring Crusader or Blade Splicer aren't that attractive. Mirroring Crusader, he didn't see his opponent's Galvanic Blast, but Mirroring Crusader just maybe he just takes out Sun Titan. Maybe he just tries to go below the focus on the early game and try and go underneath the Tezzerets.
Would you take out Blade Splicer or Crusader first? I think I'd take out Splicer first.
I think I'd take out Splicer. Yeah, no, I actually think I'd take out Crusader.
Really?
He knows his opponent has Tumble Magnet, which makes the 2 creatures from Blade Splicer pretty relevant. If your opponent is relying on a magnet to defend themselves, and you're able to generate 2 creatures with 1 card, you can definitely whittle away at their Tezzeret much more easily than if you have 1 card that you're paying full price for.
Now Edgar does know that Phillip has access to Spellskite, but does he think maybe Spellskite will be going out for this matchup, and so he doesn't have to worry about that so much with the Blade Splicer play?
Maybe. I mean, Spellskite definitely does make Blade Splicer a lot worse. That's true.
Phantasmal Image. How good do you think that is here?
Image
pretty
seems
mediocre.
pretty bad.
Like, there's not much to copy. I can see just the Titans and Image just going out in exchange for Cancel and Oblivion.
I think that's pretty reasonable.
On Phillip's side, he's going to bring in a pair of Inquisitions to start.
It looks like that's really all he wants. Maybe Ratchet Bomb, but probably not.
Probably not, no. Looking at what comes out, maybe the Batterskull comes out. Maybe you got a Galvanic Blast or 2, although killing Mirror Crusader seems really nice. Or you got a Black Sun Zenith, although once you go Squadron Hawk seems pretty nice. I don't expect Phillip to do a ton of sideboarding.
Yeah.
Seems like his deck is pretty well set up for this matchup. He says it's good, so
yeah. I mean, certainly seemed to go for pretty well for him that game.
Huh. It's true. All right. Well, the players have grabbed their opening hands. Edgar and Phillip. Edgar is going to be on the play and leads with the Preordain. Draws a card. Phillip goes Scalding Tarn. And a turn 1 play, probably Preordain of his own, maybe Brittle Effigy. Finds an island.
So not too many turn 1 plays other than the Preordains out of either of these decks, but yep, that's exactly what we see from Phillip's side as well.
And there's a Preordain. So both players had a turn 1 Preordain. And Edgar shifts both his cards. Let's see if Phillip. Alright, Phillip goes 1 top, 1 bottom. And draws. Shifts back to Edgar. Down comes Chalice and Spell Pierce from Edgar Flores. Just what you want to do on that Chalice. That Chalice is pretty crucial.
Yeah, Spell Pierce is, and there is a Mirror Crusader, so Edgar definitely kept those in.
Yeah, I'd like to Crusade here. Land and Tumble Magnet. That's a pretty good answer. Buys him from time, make sure no swords connect. Plays a Mox Opal also.
See, there's a situation where I agree with Phillip playing a Mox Opal, even though he's not using it and it's not active, because he doesn't want to just get Spell Pierced if he plays it in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I like playing the Opal there. I mean, it has upsides and downsides, but I think the upsides slightly outweigh the downsides. All right, there's Brittle Effigy for Phillip, so that's another answer.
That is an answer to Mirror Crusader.
And it turns on Metalcraft. See what other plays he has. Taps the Mox Opal, casts Preordain. And you're going to set 1 on top, 1 on bottom. And that's another Everflowing Chalice, is what it looks like. So it looks like the board is Effigy, Magnet, Chalice.
So Phillip developing his mana and keeping Edgar's Mirroring Crusader at bay.
Alright, looks like
Chooses not to tap this turn.
Crusader gets in there, and Phillip's going to drop the 15.
Which makes a lot of sense. It looks like he has 1 counter left in that magnet. Or no, 2 or I can't tell. I think there's probably 1 counter left in that magnet, maybe 2 counters left in that magnet, because that Crusader came down on turn 3.
Yeah, I think there are 2 counters.
He definitely doesn't want to just use magnet just to gain life.
Right.
That's not really what it's there for.
Gain 12 life, not so much.
Right. I mean, 12 life maybe, but he really needs to defend himself from swords. So he can't afford to just spew counters from his magnet.
Tezzeret. He goes for something. Can't quite make out what it is. Seems like it's pretty important by the way he places it behind all of his lands.
It's maybe a Black Sun Zenith? Yeah.
No, Black Sun Zenith. He's going to return his Crusader in response. And Edgar says, alright, I accept the resolves. And then shuffles. Trying to preordain. Both players are pretty parity right now. Phil maybe a little ahead on board, but I mean neither of them have any threats.
I can't really tell how many cards Phil has in his hand.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Edgar has a full grip over there.
Squadron
and
Hawk.
a hawk.
Pretty dangerous card.
So, Kaka. The first of many. Or rather, in the grand scheme of things, the manyth of very many.
Yeah, seriously. Edgar, that'd be a good, for me question. How many times has Edgar Flores cast Squadron Hawk? Send your answers to us on Twitter. Alright. Edgar plays a Hawk, plays land. Now he has the option to play a couple more Hawks if he wants, but he might want to keep counter mana up also.
Let's see, he's just passing the turn back.
Alright. Phillip, time to untap. Looks like he might be going for Tezzeret. Yeah, that's the bullish man right there. But cancel from Edgar Flores sends Tezzeret back to the briny depths.
The briny depths?
Yeah, the graveyard.
That's where he hangs out? Tezzeret doesn't seem like a briny depths kind of guy. He seems more like a workshop kind of guy.
He's on a ship in one of the comics, okay?
He's on a ship?
Yeah. But I imagine he probably doesn't like to water very much, judging by his whole,
Yeah, he's made of like metal.
He is made of Ethereum, yeah.
There's like lightning coming off of him. That seems pretty bad if he would be in the water.
He's Planeswalker. He gets around.
So, Hawk, ping,
Mirror Crusader.
Mirren Crusader. Mirren Crusader does a lot more than just ping.
And 1, 2, 3. It's like Triple Magnet number 2 for Phil.
So Magnet going to hope to keep those creatures pinched down.
Draws. I think that's Ink Bomb Nexus he had there. Taps Mirror Crusader, takes one from Squadron Hawk, pecking him down to 13 life. Another Squadron Hawk.
So the clock is getting faster.
Looks like Edgar's trying to force a game 3 here. We'll see what happens. Plays a Ink Bomb Nexus of his own. Taps 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that a Tezzeret? That is a Tezzeret.
And that is also canceled.
Wow. 2 cancels.
Something about briny depths.
Yeah, briny depths. He does not like the briny depths very much, so perhaps the cancels do send him. All right, Edgar cracks it for three more with his Hawks. If you're just joining us, Phillip's board is 2 Tumble Magnets, one with 1 counter, one with 2 counters, a Ever-Flowing Shallows for 1 versus 3 Squadron Hawks on Edgar's side of the board. They have various lands in play, which is almost impossible to make out due to how foily they are. But there's a Inkmoth Nexus on Phillip's side for sure, and I think a Nexus and a Colonnade on Edgar's side. Let's see, taps 2. Alright, activates Creeping Tar Pit. Serves in, deals some damage to drop Edgar down to 17 if it connects.
So Phillip has, it looks like a single card in his hand, and a Condemn.
Interesting sideboard choice.
Huh. See, now a Tar Pit, it seems more the type to go back to the briny depths. It's actually a pit of tar that creeps around.
And it went to the bottom of his library.
Yeah,
so depths indeed.
Yeah, it's really down to the depths.
Although no Halimar depths will be seeing that one anytime soon. Attacks for 3 with Squadron Hawk. Edgar ships back to Phillip. Phillip untaps, draw, searching for an answer. Needs something. Maybe a Tezzeret. Okay, Contagion Clasp. That'll kill a Hawk and make sure those Tumble Magnets stay fresh on counters.
So that really put a crimp in Edgar's plan here.
Yeah, that Clasp was actually huge. Not only killing one Hawk, but also make sure the others don't do much of anything.
Right. So yeah, Edgar needs to commit more to the board or start activating Colonnade in order to get any damage through. But even activating Colonnade, it's only getting 1 damage in, through the Colonnade activation because, he's just having that instead of a Hawk.
All right, yep. And Edgar's going to tap down a Hawk. Or sorry, Phillip's going to tap down a Hawk. Edgar activates a Colonnade. Phillip taps down the Colonnade.
It's actually sort of interesting. If Edgar announces his attack and Phillip just doesn't tap a Hawk, he can just save the mana, hit him with the Hawk, because he's obviously going to proliferate onto it.
Right.
But I guess this forces him, because if he had any use for that excess mana, like he doesn't have to animate the Colonnade until after he's already used his magnets.
Right.
So just the existence of his Colonnades prevents him from using his magnets using one of his magnets on the Hawk.
Well, I mean, he used 1 magnet on the Hawk, and I think it worked out in his favor. He magneted a Hawk, then said you can attack. Edgar chose to activate the Colonnade. Otherwise,
right.
Just the 1.
Yeah.
Works out the same either way.
Right. But if he has the use of his mana, he's still actually getting the damage in with Hawk because Phillip can't use both of them and not get hit by Colonnade.
Right. Phillip just passes back to Edgar. Looks like an Inkmoth Nexus for Edgar. Edgar just building up his lands and
plinked away one Hawk at a time. And now 2 Hawks.
And despite all those lands he has in play, Edgar just has so many options. I think he can activate 2 Colonnades maybe. Might need maybe he needs another turn. No, I think he can do it now. Activate 2 Colonnades. Colonnade up. Combat. So he's going to tap the Colonnade, tap the Hawk. It's going to activate Inkmoth Nexus. Okay. Interesting. Serve with Nexus and 2 Hawks.
So 1 poison and 2 damage for Phillip.
So it looks like Phillip was pretty much trying to keep his mana untapped there.
So Edgar has something to do with excess mana, or else he would have cracked with that Colonnade.
Or at least feels like bluffing. But yeah, I think I would have cracked with that Colonnade too if I were him. Let's see. Looks like he's going to crack with Inkmoth Nexus. So he wants to get a poison damage in, so he can proliferate it up. But Edgar puts a stop on that plan by Tectonic Edging the Nexus away. He plays Tar Pit and passes. Edgar trying to figure out how to get past those temple magnets. And
He's getting damage in slowly but surely.
Yep. Activate, one a turn.
All right, so looks like we're getting more. Oh, we're getting 2 poison in this turn. So Phillip drops to 4 life and up to 3 poison.
All right.
We're going for the double kill.
Now Phillip finds some actions back in this game, but otherwise it's going to be rough. He needs like another clasp or another magnet or something.
Oh, clasp doesn't do that much. It takes out a hawk, but the fact that those nexus are working away at him means that that's not going to be quite enough.
Right. Clears the combat step. Taps a hawk. You tap a colonnade.
Okay, he edges that colonnade. He's had that edge for a while, and I think has been unable to really afford to use it.
All right, activate both nexuses.
It's actually, the card is Inkmoth Nexus, so the plural is nexuses. Whereas the actual plural of the word
nexus.
Well, the actual plural of the word nexus is nexus.
But in Magic, we pluralize all card names.
Right. It's lightning helixes rather than lightning helixizers.
Lightning helixer of immortality.
Right. Yes.
Phillip untaps, looks for one more last desperation draw step.
So 3 life and 5 poison for Phillip Lorren.
Inquisition of Kozil.
Inquisition shows him
Dismember, Manly, Condemn. Takes the dismember. Or
no,
no,
it takes
takes
a mana leak.
Sorry. Knows he's going to be tight on mana,
So-
and wants to make sure if he draws a Tezzeret or something, he can be active. One, two, three. All right, activates Colonnade. Galvanic Blast is going to fight that Colonnade.
So he adds mana, activates.
Activate some Nexus. And
All right, so
tap some Hawk.
2 life and 7 poison.
This is such a weird board state. If you just joined us and don't know what's going on, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Brian Kibler at the Star City Games Open Series here in Atlanta. And the board state is Tumble Magnet, Contagion Clasp, Everflowing Chalice, Hawk. No more Hawk. That was the second Contagion Clasp found there. So it's now 2 Clasps, 2 Hawks. Edgar's got a Colonnade, or no Colonnades and 2 Nexuses. So he's going to activate both the Nexuses. And now Phillip has to do some creative tapping. Chalice is on 6 counters. You're going to tap down
Tap
a Hawk
one of
and a
each.
Nexus.
So this actually puts him at lethal to either that gets through next
And he
turn.
played a
And
Colonnade, too. All right, well, Phillip's going to need a Hail Mary then.
I mean, he can...
All right, he just concedes. He knows time is short, so...
So these players are going to be going to game 3. I don't know quite how much time is left. Do we happen to have a clock we can check out?
I know they're certainly not going to have a luxurious amount of time for their next game.
So, I mean, this certainly seems like a sort of matchup that can tend to go long in general. We saw game 1. Game 1, Phillip was able to get a quick Tezzeret out and put the pressure on Edgar. That game, much more of a grind. Edgar was able to get some Hawks down, and as we were talking after game 1, Hawk is a card that can give a deck that relies on effects like Tumble Magnet a lot of problems because you're trying to play defense, but a single card that your opponent plays generates 4 creatures.
Yep, and Phillip really wants to see one of his 2 Inquisition of Kozileks to deal with those Squadron Hawks.
Right.
Looks like about 15 minutes left in the round, so by the time they start, probably about 12 minutes.
So that's a reasonable amount of time. They're not going to be under too much pressure, but they're going to have to play quickly if the game is going to go long.
Neither of them can afford a draw at this point.
They're
So
both,
this game,
I believe they're both 6-1-1 at this point.
Edgar is definitely 6-1-1. It's possible Phillip is playing down.
It's possible, yes.
Either way, can't afford a draw. Need this match to end with a winner and a loser. So we'll see how they play it out. Now Phillip feels like this match is favored. He's played this matchup a lot, but of course, no one's ever truly feels a favorite against Edgar Flores. He just plays a ton of the archetype. when he's playing Cobblade. Of course, after Innistrad comes out, maybe everything changes, but at least for this tournament, Edgar knows his deck inside and out and is ready to take on all comers. Players shuffling each other's decks, and they know time is of the essence. They're about ready to get started.
So Phillip will be on the play this game, I assume, unless he has a strange strategy I don't know about.
Did not mention that earlier. I think he's probably safe thinking he's on the play.
So he's looking somewhat displeased at his hand. And and we're off.
Land and ship. Must be a Tarpit. Yeah, it's Tarpit.
So Tarpit for Phillip and basic planes for Edgar.
Right,
so Phillip knows that it's not going to hit by a Spell Pierce.
Oh, wow. This is for Effigy, too. Okay, so that was a pretty good start by Phillip.
There's no blue sources for Edgar.
Wow.
This is...
And no Hawk either, it looks like.
What is Edgar's draw?
Yeah, what is he having on there? Is this just a really aggressive draw with Mirror Crusader?
Well, now we get to find out.
All right. Looks like Leak, Dismember...
Blade Splicer.
Maybe 2 Blade Splicers. No, Leak,
Dismember,
Blade Splicer, Dismember, Preordain, and I can't tell what the white card is all the way to the right. That might be a 3rd Blade Splicer.
I don't think I would keep this hand if I were Edgar.
I also don't think I'd keep that hand. Draw Squadron Hawk.
You just can't do much of anything. You have some Dismembers.
Yeah,
that's not even a particularly good card in this matchup.
I would definitely not keep this hand. I mean, you're on the draw. Like the deck mulligans so well.
Yeah,
I'm one of the biggest mistakes.
I'm a little surprised to see Edgar keep that grip.
He has so much experience with that deck too. Like he knows how to keep hands like that. Even if he drew an island, it's still not like an insane hand, right?
Right. I mean, in particular, if he draws, like a Celestial Caller, it's his hand ends up being so slow.
Hawk serves in though, and I think he'll deploy a second Hawk.
Can't see what spell it is that Phillip resolved last turn. There's some permanent in play that doesn't seem to have counters on it.
I believe it's Brittle Effigy.
Oh, okay. Well, so where did... Oh, he attacked with the Tarpit. That's what it is. Okay. So right. The Effigy had been played before. So now Edgar fetches a 3rd Hawk, but is going to have to discard. Discards, looks like Dismember.
All right, and Phillip cracks a Scalding Tarn. And gets an island. We'll see if he's got some big action here for us. Tezzeret would pretty much put the game swiftly in Phillip's favor. Nope, just activates Creeping Tarpit, serves in. So not a ton for Phillip either. I mean, he's been serving him in with that Tarpit, which is certainly better than the Hawk clock, but...
And Edgar's still without blue mana.
Wow. Yeah, this not only did Edgar keep a bad hand, but it has not developed. Yeah. This is just what happens. That's the risk you run.
So discards.
Mana Leak.
He's not playing his next Hawk out?
He wants to dismember the Tarpit, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I guess that's his plan.
Mox Opal, lands, shipped back to Edgar.
And yet another lack of land.
Well, Phillip seems to be a little flooded. He's got tons of mana.
I mean, mana screw does beat mana flood if both players, just keep with the same. So if Edgar does draw out of this, I mean, he has at least a reasonable hand.
Tectonic Edge, not doing.
And another mana leak for Edgar. So Edgar's just getting in there. Those Hawks are working hard.
It's just become rather humorous.
Phillip.
Another Tectonic
Edge.
Passes the
Sorry,
turn.
man, your opponent has to have 4 lands for you to use that. Those are just never going to get activated.
Drops something on 10. I just Brittle Effigy one here. I think you have to.
Yeah. It goes away.
I would have actually done that probably 2 turns ago. But and then Dismember.
The pressure is gone.
All right.
And here comes a Hawk.
All right. Now we can start creepy Tarpiting again. Tarpit, I command you, attack into the briny depths.
Again? Really? I thought the briny depths was like the graveyard or the bottom of the library.
The tar pit likes
now
the
it's the
briny
red
depths.
zone. Like, is just everything the briny depths to you?
Are
Are you actually just like
I am pro briny depths.
you're pro briny depths?
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone say that before.
I played a lot of the briny depths MMO.
Oh, okay. Did you play a lot of brine elementals?
I actually played so many. I created brine elemental.
You created brine elementals.
Oh no, not actually. I was the first.
I don't believe you.
I introduced pickles to the world. That's what my claim to fame.
Oh, and now that we've stopped the beat. This game is just embarrassing. Look at this.
Double Magnet versus
Neither
Squadron.
player's deck is doing
Nobody
anything.
can attack.
It's like Edgar's on like turn 12, discarding with 2 land in play.
Tap, 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 tap. Is that a Tezzeret?
That's a Tezzeret.
He's got to be so excited. And Edgar's just like, all right, finally,
Yeah.
your deck gave you something. +1.
Plus 1? He doesn't want to go beat downs.
I mean, he's probably just going to try and ultimate him out, right? Because Dismember will make him pay 4 life.
Yeah.
Plays the lands.
Did he find anything? I didn't see.
I think he
didn't
just
see
missed.
him, yeah.
Now, granted, that Hawk could peck away at Tezzeret. But, he's got Temple Magnet, sure. Discard Spell
Discard
Pierce.
again.
Unbelievable. Edgar Flores kept a bad hand. Contagion Clasp, up my Tezzeret.
No.
Ultimate you. I think that'll bring him down to 1 life. Just gonna make his dude a guy, right? Yeah.
Make his dude a guy.
Yeah, exactly. Make his dude a guy. We're not gonna go into specifics, but all right. Activate Tar Pit. Activate Everflowing Chalice. Attack for 8.
All right. Well, there's
Dismember.
4 less life Edgar has. So,
Dismember.
oh, double dismember. So he's at 3,
Well within range of Tezzeret next turn.
or just Tezzeret making a guy.
Still no. Oh, no.
Wow. He drew
An Inkbox Nexus.
Inkbox
Exactly
Nexus.
what he was looking for. Oblivion Rings. The Tezzeret.
Uh-oh. Is he still alive?
It's pretty unbelievable.
It looks like Phillip has nothing.
He's
this
just find Galvanic Blast, anything. Is that another Tezzeret?
I don't know.
What's going on here?
It looks like it's 3 mana. Oh, it's a Gambit.
Not Tezzeret, but his Gambit. All right.
There's a Preordain. All right, we're digging. Those are.
One on top.
Uh-oh.
But we can't be good side for Edgar Flores. Pro Preordain,
That's
all
a
right.
Preordain.
Shows him the Tezzeret,
And there it is.
and he concedes. Edgar kept a bad hand, and
it stayed a bad hand.
that was not only a terrible keep, but wow, those draws were awful. That was
Yeah, that was-
unbelievable. How
that
many
was,
turns was that? He was on 2 lands? Was that like 15 draws?